Well, I founded my company All Road Management a bit less than 20 years ago. We manage drivers. We identify and we present racing drivers from karting through until Formula One.
Wow.
So that's what we do for a long time. And today in our list of drivers, we have very young drivers from karting, Formula 3, up to experienced drivers such as Charles Leclerc in Formula 1.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. I'm your host Swish. I'm joined by my co-host Henny.
Hello.
And today we have a great guest, probably a manager who manages some of the most iconic F1 drivers, racing drivers across all categories, Nicolas Todt. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Thank you. Nice to be here with you.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Same here. So Nicolas, as you know, we're going to break up this entire interview over the next 30 minutes into 3 parts. Q1, where we talk about racing related questions. Q2, a little bit more diving into you as a professional, how you got started. And finally, the rapid fire round, where we're going to just throw questions to you, see how rapid and fire the answers can be.
I'm not prepared, but I will try to answer.
Bring it on.
Perfect. You ready for Q1?
Ready.
All right. First question, pretty straightforward, but tell us a little bit about your career in 1 minute. I know you've done quite a lot, but just tell us some of the core accomplishments that you're really proud about.
Well, I founded my company All Road Management a bit less than 20 years ago.
Wow.
We manage drivers. We identify and we present racing drivers from karting through until Formula One.
Wow.
So that's what we do for a long time. And today in our list of drivers, we have very young drivers from karting, Formula 3, up to experienced drivers such as Charles Leclerc in Formula 1, James Calado in hypercar, as well as and also Jose Maria Lopez. So we have around 10 drivers who we manage today.
And what does the day-to-day life for Nicolas look like? Is the off-season right now a bit of a time where you can take a breather, or is it a lot of work right now?
I mean, it's very broad. I mean, every day is different, which is nice in my job. Of course, there is a lot of traveling. So I attend, I would say, 3/4 of the Formula One races.
Wow.
Then I attend some other series such as WEC, a few karting races, and so on. So I'm quite a lot on the road, and to meet my drivers, to see the decision makers, some team owners, some sponsors as well. And of course, a lot of my job is at the desk, is answering email, making phone calls, trying to move forward with the different tasks that we have with all our drivers.
Wow. And so it's kind of, there's no routine regular day for you really, right? Like it's kind of like depending on if you're in a Grand Prix or not.
I mean, there is no routine, but in a way, I almost know exactly where I will be in 6 months' time because
it's all scheduled.
Everything is scheduled almost 12 months before. So in a way, I do many different things. I travel a lot, but I already know I'm due to know where I will be in a few months. So it's quite exciting, and in a way there is a bit of routine because I'm going to the Melbourne Grand Prix for the last 20 years every month of March. So in a way you can predict, but every year we have new venues. Like this year we'll have Las Vegas. Last year we have Miami. So there is always something new, which makes it
exciting.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And then you also co-owned ART, one of the most successful junior programs right now. Tell us a little bit about your experience. I think you started that with the current Ferrari principal, Frederic Vasseur.
Yeah.
What was that experience like so far?
Well, I mean, as I said before, I started managing drivers when I was 26. I was lucky to start with Felipe Massa, who at that time was not so well known. So it was in 2003. And then a few years later, as you might remember, Formula 3000 was a dying championship. And both Ecclestone and Briatore decided to launch a new series, which was at that time called GP2 series. And it started a bit as a joke, and Briatore and they both told me, why don't you set up your team? And at that time, I had no experience at all in the team management. And I said to myself that the project looked very exciting. And I thought that there could be good synergies with the drivers I managed at that time, and also to try to find new talents. And since I had no experience and I knew I would be judged hardly, I didn't want to make mistakes. When I do something, I try to do it well. If not, I prefer not to do it at all. And I try to see in the junior series world who the best people were, what the best teams were. And at that time, one of the best teams in Formula 3 was ASM. They were running at that time, what's his name? Jamie Green, and a few other very good talents. And I went to meet Fred Vasseur among other persons, and he wanted to move to GP2 in addition to Formula 3, and that's where we started, and we decided to launch ART.
Yeah. Well, take us through that transition from owning the ART to now managing players. How is that different? Those two worlds.
I mean, it was not a transition. It was something in addition to what I was doing, because I started as a driver manager.
Yeah.
I became, in addition to that, a team co-owner.
Yeah.
And then when I decided to sell my shares a few years ago, during that time, I've always been a driver manager. So my main mission today is to manage drivers. But for me, it has been a very good experience. I was not running operational on a day-to-day basis because, also, of course, I had other things to do with my drivers. But for me, it has been a very good school to be able to know what a junior team expects from the young drivers, how it operates, the difficulty to raise money, to find sponsors, because of course today it's easier to find sponsors in Formula 1, but in low categories it's very difficult. So it gave me a good heads up about what junior series is all about. So it was very helpful for me.
That's amazing. And I've always been intrigued when managers say, that person is going to be a star when they grow up. Like, how do you identify a rising star in this world?
Well, I mean, it would be a bit pretentious to say that I've been lucky. I don't know if it's luck, but I've been lucky enough to find great talents at a very early age.
Yes.
Very quickly, when I started, after starting to manage Felipe Massa, who already was in Formula 1. So, I mean, the difficult job is
already done.
To find them when they're young. When they're already in F1, it's a bit easier.
Yeah.
Because there is a pre-selection that has been done.
Yeah.
And it was I quickly understood that if I want to manage other talents, they're not going to beg at me when they're already champions. So if I want to have good champions, like I have today with Charles Leclerc, for example, you need to help them when they need.
Yes.
And most of the time, those drivers, they need help when they are very young, when they have no funding, because irrespective of the talent you have, you need to find the funds.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, if I want to continue and to stay for a long time in this industry, I need to have other clients, and I need to try to create a strong relationship with them at a very early stage.
Yeah.
And that's why I started around 2004 to be involved and to follow more closely karting, to attend some races, to speak with karting bosses, to even some journalists, some people from this very specific industry. Yeah. And I said to myself, I need to try to identify the future talents. And the first one who I started to manage was Jules Bianchi. Unfortunately, today he's not with us anymore. And at that time, he was the star in karting. So I'm not a technician or an engineer who can spot a driver in a corner saying this guy is amazing, the way he brakes, the way he accelerates. I don't have these skills. However, I think I have the skill to listen to the good people.
Yes.
In life you cannot be good everywhere, but when you are not good, you try to listen to identify people. The good people. And like identifying Fred Vasseur as my partner, I think it was today is the head of Ferrari. So in a way,
it worked out.
And so that's that. So to answer your previous question, how do I identify? I try to listen to people. I try to go to the roots, which is, in my opinion, karting, where you see a lot of good talents. And it's not only about finding a quick driver, because you have a lot of quick drivers, but in F1 you only have 20 of them, so they are all quick. So quick is the baseline. You need to have a raw talent, but on top of that, you have to be smart. All the Formula 1 drivers today, they are all educated, they are all smart. The way they speak to the media, the way they address themselves is extremely impressive, much more than in most of the other sports in the world.
Definitely.
And it's not luck. It's because they have been trained. They have, and I think it takes a lot of time, effort to make it to Formula 1. So we try to find the complete package. We need to try to find someone who has a willingness to learn, to extract the best from himself, who doesn't settle for second or third place. So the package is difficult to get.
Yeah.
But even if you think you have all that, you are never sure
until they get.
I mean, the next year is always a new challenge. You know?
Yeah. And on the flip side, what is your dynamic with principals and team bosses in the grid? Does that work differently? What does that communication look like?
Well, in a way, I mean, today I'm 45 years old. I've been doing that.
Great, by the way.
Yeah,
thank you. A bit of a few white hair, but I'm 45, and I started working in this industry 19 years ago. So in a way, because of this long term. I mean, this time, I know most of the team principal, and also having worked in junior series has allowed me also to see the future bosses. So we were talking about Fred Vasseur. Fred Vasseur was in Formula 3, now he's in Formula 1. So you have many people, and also the fact of managing a lot of drivers in other series such as WEC, WEC, such as Formula E or Formula 2 has allowed me to meet people who. And some of them are in Formula 1 today. So I have good relationship with all of them, and I try to keep a relationship with them during the whole year. And the fact of attending most of the races is very helpful because I always compare Formula 1 paddock as a fair.
Right.
You know. We rarely meet the team bosses at the factory unless there is something very specific to discuss.
Exactly.
But you do your in brackets your PR at the races 23 times a year. So it's very helpful. And of course you have team principal with whom you have a great relationship. People not as good. But what is important in my opinion is to understand their needs, because when you are the team principal of Williams or Mercedes, you don't have the same expectation from a driver.
Correct.
So it's important to put yourself in their shoes.
That's great answer.
And then in talks about with your management and the people that you are signing, how does those contracts work? When you are negotiating them, I think a lot of people want to know what happens.
You mean with team principal? You mean?
No, just with players themselves. With contracts.
Well, of course, I mean when you sign young drivers and you invest a lot of money, the return you might have will maybe happen in
10, 15
8,
years,
10, 12 years. You don't know. So of course it's a long-term contracts because you take a lot of risk. I mean, in a way, I think I'm not proud, but I think I'm the only private manager who invests his personal money on drivers. So, and I think for me, it's important because I'm a small entrepreneur, but I have a entrepreneur mindset, and I like to do that because, of course, it's also more motivating. I don't really like to work for a big corporation. I prefer to work for myself and have a small group of people around me. And I think it's important when you invest your own money because it's the best proof to show someone that you believe in him.
Yeah, correct.
And also, I think that if you work with loyal and honest people, they will always be grateful for what you have been doing for them when they were nobody.
Yeah. Absolutely. And when it comes to even the connections and that you're setting up for drivers, the capital that you're putting in, I mean, how do you have like a roster now of many drivers across different categories? How do you allocate your time? Like, how do you spend time providing each driver value? Because that can be a balancing act, right?
It's a good question. And I mean, I have to be honest, I cannot spend the same amount of time with each of them. And for sure today, I spend more time with Charles because he's my priority friend and client at the same time. And I think he needs more attention maybe than someone who, I mean, we manage, for instance, Pechito Lopez in WEC in hypercar with Toyota, James Cado in hypercar with Ferrari. Of course, they need our attention, but maybe they are more independent. They learned much earlier how to deal themselves. It doesn't mean that we're not helping them when they want, when they need. The phone is always on. We try to keep, of course, a relationship, but not as strong. I cannot attend all the WEC races. And if I have today to put a priority, it's Formula 1. But we try to help all our drivers as much as possible, and also each driver has different needs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And on your guys' website, I know we saw on the All Road Management website, there was a quote. It said, "Everybody has talent. Some have more than others, but talent is not enough." And,
Strong quote.
Strong quote. I love that quote. But one of the things I love about what you brought up is that, again, raw talent is not enough.
That's what I said. That's what I said before.
Other qualities. So is that what sets your drivers apart, in your opinion? Are those other qualities beyond just raw talent?
I mean, each driver is different. I mean, you cannot compare. It's not because we manage 8 to 10 drivers that they are all the same. Of course, we try to find the best package. As I said before, natural speed, talent, willingness to learn, motivation, not giving up, being strong, having a very strong mental. That's why before we sign a young driver, we send him to some competition in terms of fitness competition, mental preparation to see how strong they are in their head. Because at the end of the day, it's like in tennis, it's like in football. When you play, a US Open tennis final, at the end of the day, both players are very, very almost equal. But the big difference are going to be in tricky points.
Dealing with pressure.
Exactly, dealing with pressure. And for me, today, all the 20 drivers in Formula 1, they are all very talented. I think between the quickest and the slowest, maybe you have 0.3 of a second per lap. But the main difference, in my opinion, is at critical moments, how do you cope with pressure? And sometimes you have great drivers, they're on pole, and the guy is going to stall or he's going to lose 5 positions. Why? Because maybe he's not, he misses something. So that's what we try to find. But all the drivers we have are not in Formula 1 as well, And also what is good also is there is not only in Formula 1 in race, in the racing world, and hopefully, because otherwise there would be only 20 athletes in the world. So you have other great series, and I respect all our drivers. As I said before, Formula E, WEC, you have IndyCar. I mean, you have great championship, and I think what is important and what I tell my drivers as well is that our goal is F1. But I think their main goal is to live out of their passion, and you can make a living out of your passion without being in F1. Although it's very difficult.
I mean, in terms of that, when Charles was 14 years old, he was ready to quit the sport, and you stepped in and signed him, and you said, he's going to be a legendary driver. What was it that you saw in him that many people didn't see at that age?
Well, thanks for this introduction. I would not say that when I saw him, it would be a lie to say I saw him and I knew he's going to be
the one.
No, it's not true. First of all that started from my personal relationship with Jules. Because just for your information, Jules' best friend was Charles' elder brother, Lorenzo. So they were very close. And of course, and very early, Jules became a little bit the godfather, the racing godfather of Charles.
Mentor.
And while I was helping Jules, I think he was in World Series or GP2 at that time, he told me, I have the young brother of my best friend Lorenzo with a racing go-kart. He's very good. They don't really have the budget to go higher than what he's doing in karting. And I think that you should meet him and maybe help him, because I think he's worth watching. And so my first reaction was to say, yes, I would love to meet him out of friendship for you, Jules. I will do it because you're my friend. But so the first time I met him with his dad, I knew he was a good karting driver, but I did not know that he would become vice world champion 22, and that he had everything it takes to become a Formula 1 champion. So in a way, I think we have both been lucky, because I think he was in a way lucky to find someone like me who gave him the chance, and who because all those drivers, they are sometimes people who don't have budget, they are afraid that the next race will be their last race if they don't find budget. So they need at some point someone like a manager, like a sponsor, like me. When you don't have family backings, it's very tough. And so I had a great meeting with him and his dad, and I said to myself, I was feeling a bit bad for him that somebody so nice and who had already achieved many good results in karting. I said, it's a shame to stop there. And I said, okay, karting is still affordable.
Yeah.
I'm going to fund your next season in karting. And then I cannot promise that I will help you beyond that. Yeah. But if you do very well, you have my word that I will help you as much as possible. And from that time, he has never been disappointing. Actually, it's the opposite.
You see him, yeah.
So it's a nice story.
Yeah. Is there
in a way it's for me it's like if Jules' legacy was
carried on.
Exactly.
Carried on.
Yeah. So for me it's also important.
Yeah. And now, is there anyone in the junior category or karting that you see has the X factor, or someone that has that same story that you think will do well now?
Well, I mean, we have many good drivers. Yeah. One of the drivers who I think can go very far is Gabriele Mini.
Yeah.
He won E10 Formula 4 with Prema. He was vice champion in Freca last year. He will be racing in Formula 3 this year with High Tech. I believe a lot in him. A bit same background than Charles. Yeah. Very, very good in karting. No budget. So he's hungry. He knows how important it is to perform. And I like this kind of profile because they're not spoiled at all.
Yeah.
So they know that they need to do better than their teammates if they want to make it. So I think for me, in a way, not having strong backings is a plus because it's difficult for them on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. But at least you know that they will give their best to make it to the top. And so I believe a lot in Gabriele. Last year, we signed a very good talent who was 11 years old at the time, so now he's 12, called Christian Costoya from Spain. He will be racing this year in OKJ with the Parolin team. And actually, the people who, I mean, in addition to be very good on track, I was impressed with him by his mindset. And we sent him to a psychologist, to a mental trainer, and the numbers he has achieved have almost never been achieved at his age. So for me, it's an important parameter. Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the people of his age.
Yeah.
So it's something which is important for me, a key parameter.
Yeah.
And in terms of 2023, then, if you look at the year ahead, I mean, what other expectations do you have for your drivers? Is All Road getting into anything else? I mean, what's exciting you about this year?
Well, I mean, we have drivers in almost every series, Formula 4, Formula 3, karting, F1, WEC. And I mean, as I said before, each of them is different. They have different roadmap. But what is important for us is that we can extract from them the best of themselves, and try to not to leave any stone unturned, and try to get the best out of them. And what we wish, if a driver is all of them are not going to be F1 champions. Yeah. But if we can help them become better, what is important for us is that by working with us, there is an added value.
Right.
We did something that maybe they would not have been able to do without us. Maybe 5% more, it's already something. So that's our expectations.
Yeah. Enough. Final question of Q1. I think you've been doing great, by the way, so far. I think in 2019, you mentioned that Charles is your greatest pride. You went on record to say that. I think I know the answer to this. I think you've already talked about it before. Do you think Charles is a future world champion?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't want to say that he could have been he could have been world champion last year, but with some ifs, you can change the course of the story. But I think he has everything it takes. He has, and what I like with Charles, and that's very important for a driver. You have some drivers, they are third, they are extremely happy to be third. Yeah. It's like a tennis player, he reached the semi-final, he's very happy. Yeah. But you have some people, when they don't win, they are sad, they are upset.
Yeah. And hungry for more.
Exactly. And Charles is part of those special athletes. And I think that the mindset, the attitude he has is the right one. And I hope that we will see if 2023 is a good year.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that was Q1. Henny, your verdict?
I thought that was a purple sector, I think.
Sector?
Yeah.
So I can go in Q2?
Yeah. Q2.
Great. Thank you.
All right. That's a wrap for Q1.
Boom.
Hey guys, if you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button right now. We really are excited about the community we're building. We have a lot more content we want to share, and we'd love for you to be the first one to find out about it. All right, welcome back. Nicolas, you've made it to Q2. Well done.
I'm very proud.
Yeah.
So we're going to now go a little bit deeper into you as a professional, and we're going to take you back before F1, before your entire career as a manager. I believe you went to Toulouse Business School.
Yeah.
So in that kind of educational path that you took, what did you take away from that? How was that experience? Give us a bit of the origin story even before all of this.
Well, I mean, I'm born in 1977, born and raised in Paris. And after my first degree, I moved to Toulouse to do a 3-year business school. And among those 3 years, I did 2 internships of 6 months. One in the luxury industry at Louis Vuitton in Paris, and the second one actually in a sports management company called IMG.
IMG,
close to London.
Yep.
So it was and actually I was working mainly for the Olympic Games department at that time.
Yeah.
And it was quite helpful and exciting to see that, although I was only an intern. So I did 2 years in Toulouse, 1 year at doing my internships, and honestly, I did this business school because, first of all, I think I was too young to start working, and also because I didn't really know what
you were
I wanted to do, despite having some passions.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, after 3 years of this school, you get your mind a bit more clear about maybe not absolutely about what you want to, but maybe about what you don't want to do.
Exactly.
So it was a good move for me it was a nice time.
Yeah. Do you, moving forward now, do you think you have is it a pressure to have a good relationship with your drivers, or is it just purely transactional in a way where, you're just focused on getting them the best deals, the best positions that they want to be in?
I mean, I have a relationship with each of my drivers, but they are all different. So some are very friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, they are all
professional.
They are all professional, plus friendly sometimes, or pure professional.
Yeah.
But of course, when you spend a lot of time with driver, you need to have the pleasure to have dinner with him at the track after a long day, or you need to even to spend a weekend or vacation somewhere because you spend a lot of time with them. So I would say that the good thing is that I'm not very young, but I'm not old as well. So the age difference with my drivers, of course, some of them I could be their dad.
Yeah.
But I'm not 70 years old. I'm 45.
Yeah.
So I think that the age difference, I think I'm a bit. I have a young mind, if I may say. So I think that we click quite well.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, previously in Q1, we talked a little bit about Jules, and the tragic accident that occurred there. Does an experience like that take, a toll on you as a manager? Like, how did that experience take a toll on you?
Sure, because I mean, when at that time, I mean, Jules was first of all, he was really a good friend, I mean, he was calling me bro, I mean, brother, and I really felt, I mean, I have no kids, so I would not say that I felt he was my kid, but I felt like if he was my very young brother, so I really cared for him, and I really loved him as a person. He was a great guy, and I wasn't in Japan when the accident occurred, and although I don't know why, but straight away I quickly understood that it was very serious, and of course you cannot stay unmoved by something like that. So Formula One, everybody knows that it's on the F1 pass it's written in capital letters, motor racing is dangerous.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And the last person who had an accident, a dead accident was Ayrton Senna in May 1st, 1994. So you thought, and so many progress have been made in terms of safety that dying in Formula One is something that you could not imagine.
Yeah.
And so it was very tough to digest. I mean, you cannot digest that, but it was very hard to live that, and still now. And honestly, at some point I said, what is the point? Do you want to work with people and one day lose them,
Yeah.
But then, you have the passion, and you also have other people to look after. At the time I was managing Felipe Massa, and I have a great relationship with Felipe, so I didn't feel like stopping. But needless to say that it made me think a lot about, not only about racing, but about life in general. I think it's a key bad moment in my life.
Yeah, and
if not the worst.
Yeah, and your father, who was the former FIA president, Jean Todt, he was a prevalent figure in F1. So how was it like growing up with a father that was so prominent in the sport?
Well, I have a huge respect and admiration for my dad, because for what he has achieved. I don't know many team bosses who have achieved what he has achieved in 50 years in motorsport. You are talking about FIA, but also Peugeot, Ferrari, and so many wins. And so, I have huge respect. But what my dad gave me without really wanting it was his passion for the sport. Because, the privilege I had, thanks to him, was to be able to attend some races when I was 6 years old, going to some rally in Finland, or go to watch Paris-Dakar, and especially to be able to have a personal relationship with some drivers. I was so lucky to have a dinner with Ari Vatanen. Wow. When I was 16, I was going to the F1 paddock, and I was hanging with Gerhard Berger, Jean Alesi, and I was lucky to become close friend, but it was personal, not professional. Because at the time I never thought I would be. For everybody, it's very natural that I'm doing that because of what my father had been doing. But actually, I never thought I would be a driver manager. I wanted to work in the motor racing industry, but because out of passion for that, but not really with a specific role. And actually, that's by meeting Felipe Massa one day, who offered me the job in a way to help him. That I said in life, you have to seize the opportunities. And I said, maybe this is it can be something great.
It's my calling. And you mentioned, you knew that potentially you wanted to do something in motorsport racing. What about being a driver? Was that ever a thought that came through your head? You're like, hey, maybe I'll put my name in and try to be a driver.
Actually, no. I love cars. I think I drive quite well, but very far from a good driver. But I love cars, and actually, I think that if you want to, every driver who starts driving when he's 5, 8, or 10 needs the backing from the parents. Because it's the first time. I don't think that when you are 5 years old, you say, okay, please, I want to drive a go-kart. You have the father who say, let's do that.
Let's do that together.
That's why actually, when you see, it's amazing that Formula Motor Racing is by far the number one sport in the world where you have so many father and sons
relationship duos.
You don't have that in football, or at a very, very low rate. And actually, my parents never pushed me for that. I think that they saw a lot of people. My dad at that time saw a lot of car accidents, and I think that he didn't want his son to take risks. So he never pushed me for that. And then when I started to drive, when I had my driving license, I was far too old to do a career in that.
Man, don't say that. I want to be an F1 driver one day. I'm 25.
Maybe start esports.
I know.
Hey, maybe he can sign you.
Hey, maybe that's true.
We'll talk after.
What is one piece of advice that you would give for any of the incoming rookies into F1? I think it's a pretty exciting season with Nick De Vries, with Oscar Piastri, Logan Sargent. Is there a piece of advice that you would give them?
It would be a bit presumptuous to give them advice, but of course, there is a huge gap between being a F2/F3 driver and F1. The media attention that overnight you get is huge. So you have to be grounded, to have feet on the ground, to be well surrounded, and also you have to be very, very committed, and also to enjoy. You have to. It's as I said before, you have 20 drivers in the world. Being a F1 driver is something phenomenal. And so I think that, and sometimes it's not easy when you are that young to appreciate the moment. So what I would tell him is appreciate the moment, work as hard as you can, because this sport is so demanding. You see with Daniel Ricciardo, who lost his seat. One day you are a hero, the following day you are a zero. So but it's important to be aware of that. to listen to, I mean, to take that into account. And of course, you have in the past when you're in F2, maybe you have two engineers. One you're racing engineer, you're a data engineer. In Formula One, you work with 100 people. So it's a big change. So it's important to be prepared and strong for this big jump.
Yeah. And to follow up with that, is there a position where, as a manager, you step in and give that kind of advice to these people that are transitioned to F2?
Sure. I mean, I try to what I just told you. That's what I try to tell the drivers who I manage who step in F1. You know. Yeah. And because I mean, we're talking about Charles, but I've been managing Daniil Kvyat in the past, Sébastien Bourdais, Pastor Maldonado. So a bunch of drivers. So of course, I try to tell them what I think they could do, or I try to give them a few advice.
Yeah. And what surprises you the most about this sport? I know we're constantly seeing new regulations, new changes, crazy things happening on the track. What is that one thing that surprises you the most about this sport?
I mean, the passion and the fact that, I mean, we have a lot of people in the paddock, whether it's F1 or endurance or younger series, they work in this industry for 30 years. So there is really something special about motor racing. So, you know, if you have passion for something, it's not a work, it's a pleasure. Yeah. Right. For sure, you don't have only advantages. You know, you have a lot of traveling is tough. You know, and every year we have more and more races. So it's not. You don't only have advantages of this world, but I think that being part of this in this industry, when you are passionate, it's something fantastic.
Yeah. And you mentioned, you know, a lot of the travel that you guys have to do. I think one of our guests previously said it's like a parade, it's like a circus that happens around the entire world, right? Yeah. And everybody kind of is a tight-knit group because you're traveling together. How do you kind of manage your work and life? Do you feel like you have that balance when you're traveling so much?
Honestly, I'm never keen to travel, but once I'm there, I enjoy.
You're in the moment, yeah.
And we have to, you know, I mean, maybe half a year. I mean, every other weekend I'm busy somewhere, and the weekend is usually 4 to 5 days. So it's you need to have passion. Yeah. But sometimes I appreciate more and more being at home and chilling, relaxing, being with some friends and disconnecting.
Nice. And one of my final questions is kind of around your discipline and drive. I think one of the things Henny and I are taking away is, you know, you have passion for the sport clearly. And I think what's also great is that you're not only looking at, F1, but you're looking at even some of the junior categories and trying to think ahead, right? Thinking ahead of who might be a great prospect that I can potentially get in on the ground floor to help them, like you said, when nobody else might. You know, when it comes to your discipline and drive to go and attend those karting races and to go and take those meetings with 10, 11, 12-year-olds, where do you get that drive?
Well, I mean, as I said before, if I do something, I try to do it well. Yeah. So I'm a very disciplined person. I mean, I can be lazy sometimes, but I don't like to start something that I don't finish. And so if I start to do, and very often people ask me to work with them, but if I feel that I'm either not motivated or I will not be able to involve myself 100%, I prefer to turn down the offer. So I think it's my personality.
And experience.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You know, I mean, over 20 years now. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So
hence my gray hair.
we'll edit that out. Yeah. But I mean, last question would probably be around, you know, what's your escape? I know you just mentioned you like to, you know, chill with friends or with family. What is that escape for you outside of sports?
I mean, my escape is sometimes to switch off completely, to not to do anything, to see my friends, to travel to some places, to visit countries. I love art. I love also watching other sports. We were mentioning tennis before. I love tennis. So just to do things which have nothing to do with my work/passion.
Nice.
I think it's a great way to wrap up Q2. Henny, the verdict here?
Another purple. Let's give it.
No, come on.
Oh. Because that last round, Q3 is quite tough.
Yeah.
So I think two purple sectors, you know, it's good.
Potential pole.
You have a trophy for Q?
Oh, yeah. End of award.
The trophy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Canadian trophy though, but we'll tell it to you after.
Okay. I love Canada.
Yeah. Wrapping up Q2. Stay tuned. We're about to get into the rapid fire round in Q3 with Nicolas Todt. All right, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We're here with Nicolas Todt. 2 purple sectors so far. We're getting into Q3 though.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think there's a potential chance for pole here. Nicolas, what do you think?
I mean, I like pole position, so if I can do it, it's always better to start on pole.
Amazing. So rapid fire round. Henny and I are going to come and give you a couple of questions, and we'd love for your answers to be rapid, full of fire. So
Okay.
First question, if you had to choose one racing format to manage, which one would it be?
In Formula One,
In Formula 1.
I would say a two-day weekend with practice, qualifying, and race.
Nice. So, Nicolas, I'm about to show you a photo. And for the audio listeners, this is you with Charles walking. What was going through your mind, or what was happening in this moment exactly?
Oh my God. He's not looking at me very nicely.
Yeah. What was this conversation?
It seems I did a mistake. Maybe I forgot the keys at... maybe I lost the keys of his car. He was upset. Maybe he lost 2 minutes before entering the paddock.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't think we usually don't argue.
This is funny.
Great. What regulation change would you institute into Formula 1? Double points in the last race, for example. What would you institute?
I think that we should have points for pole position.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would remove points for fastest lap because for me it has no meaning.
Yeah. And people change their strategy just to get it.
Yeah.
So next question: who would you want as a teammate on the current grid right now? If you were
Leclerc, I need to be alongside the best drivers. I need to prove my worth.
And you'd be quicker than him?
I don't know.
Oh.
What do you look for in a teammate, though? You mentioned Charles. Like, what do you look for if you were looking for a teammate in the sport?
Someone very quick,
Yeah.
because at least it's a benchmark,
Yeah.
and you can know how good you are, or how slow, or how much you need to improve.
Yeah.
And someone with whom you can have a good relationship, you can spend good time, and you can someone loyal on track who is not playing politics in the background.
Yeah.
So a good guy.
Yeah. Next question: favorite place to travel?
I love Australia.
Oh, okay.
I love going to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Because I love the city. I love the atmosphere. We have real racing fans, and usually it's the first race of the season.
Yeah.
It has not always been the case lately,
Yeah.
but so there is
start.
it smells like a new season.
Yeah,
And I like
yeah.
this.
And it's always hot. I would take that any day.
Definitely not Canada.
Yeah, God, no.
Best leadership advice that you would have to give to even people outside of the sport, just people who want to be leaders. What kind of advice do you have for them?
I like I don't know if it's a quote from someone, but I read it somewhere. Only mediocre people can reach their best. And I think it's quite motivating to know that it means that you can always do better.
Yeah. There's always room to grow. Next question: would you ever want to be the FIA president in the future?
Not at all. First of all, I don't know if I would be. I don't think I would be able to do that.
Right.
But I hate politics.
Right. What's the most over-asked question that you get, other than this one? But
Can I get an autograph from Charles?
oh God.
Can I get a cap?
Can we? Joking.
My daughter is in love with Charles. Can you help?
Oh my God. How do I even go to the next question with that answer? Oh my God. Best and worst thing about being a manager for drivers?
I mean, the best thing is to be happy to be on the podium and to applaud your driver. That's a great feeling.
Yeah.
The worst one is when you have to deal with problems, maybe with the team of your drivers, or when you're to deal with bad problems, and hopefully as less problem as possible.
Yes. Okay.
If you wanted to own a piece of F1 memorabilia, so a hat, a poster, model of a car, any time in history, what memorabilia would you choose?
Well, I'm lucky to own a lot of memorabilia from my drivers, like helmets, racing suit, visors. But something I don't have, which is obviously very hard to get, is is a real car, F1 car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been beyond the reach today.
Would you put it like on
I was gonna say.
like on the ceiling above the dining
Or
table?
your house.
Yeah, for example.
Yeah.
Without the engine, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Oh God. Can you
Imagine, just drops on your head. Okay, next question. What's one team you would bring back into F1, whether it's BMW, Lotus, and the others?
Benetton.
That's a good question. I mean, I started following F1 when I was 15, so in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm French and proud to be French. So I have good memories of Ligier team, which was not doing so well in the 90s. But for me, it's really the French team that's really something, it's an iconic French team.
Yeah.
So Ligier, and also they won the Monte Carlo Grand Prix
Yeah.
with Olivier Panis.
Yeah.
I think in 1996 or 5, I don't remember.
Wow. 6, right? Yeah, I believe it was 6.
96.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Well, I told you that we do travel too much.
Yeah.
So I would say teleportation.
Lovely. I would do that too.
Yeah. What celebrity do you think will be a great fit into F1 as a driver, at least?
Any celebrity.
Any.
I mean, I don't know any celebrity who made it to F1, so it's a bit. I mean, I like a lot Novak Djokovic.
Yes.
First of all, I like him because many people don't like him.
Yes.
And I think that I feel for them.
Yeah.
And I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
And I think that he has a big work ethic.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to in Formula One. You need to have a work ethic. So
Yeah. And
He could be-
and a winning mindset.
Yeah.
so- exactly.
Really.
So he might not even know how to drive, but I think that he has some components, some features that are important to a great F1 driver.
Perfect. And last question. If you're writing an autobiography on your life, which one of these titles best resonates with you? The Daredevil, the Dreamcatcher, the Free Spirit, or the Hardest Worker?
I mean, if I had to choose one among the list, I would say the hardest worker.
Yeah.
Although there are many people who work more than me, but if I had to find another adjective,
Yeah.
I would say many of my friends call me pragmator. It's not a real word
Yeah.
because I'm very pragmatic.
Pragmatic. Yeah.
I'm not a dreamer.
Right.
I'm not very idealistic, but I'm
Okay.
very realistic.
Wow.
So I think it could define me.
That was beautiful.
Should we add that to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
future
that's-
interviews?
yeah.
No, don't quote me.
That's only him. Trademark.
Perfect. Well, that wraps up the rapid fire round. At the end of every interview, Nicolas, we ask a simple question to our guests. I say simple, maybe not. In
It's
in 1 minute, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be?
I mean, I don't have this ego to hope to have a legacy, but I think I would like to be remembered as someone who has been, in a way, who contributed in helping young drivers achieve their dreams, and maybe in making the dream, the impossible dream possible.
Yeah, reality.
So that's what I would like to be remembered of. How I would be like to be remembered, and also as a person loyal, correct, and honest, who has how do you say that?
Straight focus.
Straight
or-
focus.
Straight focus. I
Tunnel
mean,
vision.
someone clean.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Nicolas.
It was a pleasure.
Three purple
sectors.
sectors, right?
Yeah.
I think we got to give it to him.
Fastest lap.
Yeah.
there.
So now I
points
want my
up.
prize money now.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you on social media if they wanted to follow along with your journey?
I have my Instagram account and
Yeah.
Twitter. It's Nicolas Todt.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I don't post a lot, so
No worry. We'll get
I'll
you.
start.
We'll get you to start.
I will learn
posting.
from you.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, if you guys like this episode, guys, please go and check out our other episodes on tracklimitspod.com. Feel free to leave a review here and give us a follow on social media. We will see you all in the next episode.